Gentlemen, and welcome. Wow, what a beautiful crowd. I'd like to ask, this is my first time asking this because I've given you 3 meetings now. Please turn all radios, phones, electronic devices off so that we can get through. We've got some beautiful presentations tonight, and we would like to do it without interruption. So at this time, I'd like to call to order the City Council, City of Homestead Council meeting Monday, December 7th, 2009, 7 p.m. May we now have the call to order the invocation and pledge allegiance. For the invocation will be Reverend Norman Freeman, St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church. The pledge allegiance will be by the police explorers.
I don't think he's here. I don't think Reverend Freeman is here. So if you...
Reverend Freeman is not here?
No.
Okay. May I ask Reverend Jimmy Williams, please, to lead us in the...
Let us pray. Eternal and everlasting God, we thank you for your grace and your mercy that you have shown upon us tonight, and we ask that you guide this council meeting, that you give us the wisdom to conduct the business of the city decently and in order. We ask that you bless everyone under the sound of my voice. Amen.
And now if you'll face the flag and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we not have no police explorers? Okay. Okay, Madam Clerk, no police explorers. Moving right along to roll call.
Mayor Bateman?
Here.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Here. Councilman Burgess?
Here.
Councilman Maldonado?
Here.
Councilman Shelley?
Here.
Councilwoman Lobos is under the weather. Councilman Williams?
Here.
Any additions, deletions, or deferrals at this point? Hearing none, let's move into special presentations. The first presentation that we have tonight, we're going to talk about the 2010 census. I hold this up for the camera. This is a very important issue for us for 2010. May I ask Ms. Monique Spence to please come up to the podium? Monique is with the Census Bureau, and she's going to give us a little 10-point briefing on the census 2010.
Good evening, distinguished panel, as well as leaders of the community and residents. I am Monique Spence. I'm a partnership specialist with the United States Census Bureau. And if you're not aware, the census is an actual collection of information from all residents throughout the entire United States. It's done every 10 years, and we're gearing up for the next census, which will be happening in April 2010. We're now part of this outreach effort, making sure we're going to the communities that are served by the census, just to let people know that it is coming. It is simple, it is fast, it is safe, it is easy. Unlike some of the other years, this year the census is actually a short form, simple questions. All you have to do is fill it out and send it back. And just so that you do know, the reason why it is so important is because this is how dollars are allocated to certain communities, roadways, things that need improvements, as well as different types of facilities, community groups, and things of that nature. That's how the funding is actually allocated. We have to make sure that the numbers meet the need. So it is very, very important when you do get this information in your mailbox, you fill it out. Just, again, it's so simple, and you return it back. And, we're hoping that we really get a great count, especially here in Homestead, so that we can make sure that we have those dollars allocated appropriately. So thank you.
Thank you. And at this time now, Councilman Stephen Shelley would like to present you with a proclamation to show our seriousness about the 2010 census.
Yes,
Stephen.
to show how important it is to make sure you participate in this census. And the proclamation reads, whereas an accurate census count is vital to our community and residents' well-being by helping planners determine where to locate schools, daycare centers, roads and public transportation, hospitals and other facilities, and achieving an accurate and complete count of the nation's growing and changing population. And whereas more than $400 billion per year in federal and state funding is allocated to states and communities based in part on census data, and whereas the 2010 census creates jobs that stimulate economic growth and increase employment, and whereas the information collected by the census is confidential and protected by law, and whereas the City of Homestead is committed to partnering with the U.S. Census Bureau to help ensure a full and accurate count in 2010, now therefore Stephen C. Bateman, the Mayor of City of Homestead, Florida, does hereby proclaim Monday, December 7th, 2009 as 2010 Census Partnership Day in Homestead.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Shelley. Item C, Do the Right Thing Award, Councilman Elvis Maldonado. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. On behalf of the City of Homestead, as your new elected Education Committee Chair, I would like to recognize today the Do the Right Thing winners for the Homestead Middle School. And so what I would like to do now is call up Quentin Glenn so I could talk a little bit about the recognition and award that he's receiving today. Come over here, Quentin.
Hey, Quentin.
Quentin Glenn, I'm going to read a little bit about him to let you know why he was recognized today here in the City of Homestead. It brings me great pleasure to know that the Homestead Middle School is still doing a great job with these young individuals, young students. He is smart and has a lot of compassion, not only for animals but people as well. He is always ready, able, and willing to share his school supplies with a classmate who forgot to bring a pencil or paper. His hand is the first one up, and he loves to participate. That makes him special because he really wants to learn. Quinn has been volunteering his time for 2 years at the Everglades Outpost. Quentin goes after school daily to help take care of the animals such as monkeys, tigers, and leopards. Quentin, in recognition for your hard work and dedication, we would like to recognize you on this day as the Chair of the Education Committee. We want to present you with this certificate of recognition, and it reads, this certificate is awarded to Quentin Glenn, Homestead Middle School, and your recognition of your commitment and dedication to the academic achievement by earning the Do the Right Thing Award. The City of Homestead salutes you. Congratulations. You can stay up here, Quentin. Now, I also would like to recognize another winner of Do the Right Things, Jake Fleury. Is he here? Jake, please come now. Who's going to be guy? Jake Fleury, let me read a little bit about him. Jake keeps up with his schoolwork and helps out in the community. He collects aluminum cans to be recycled to clean the environment. He donates the money he gets from recycling to help feed the homeless. Jake is also involved himself in asking for donations by stuffing and filling out envelopes for cancer research and autism, then sends them to the neighbors using his own money to buy the postage stamps. He is part of the jazz band at Homestead Middle School and occasionally plays for the students at Neva King Cooper. And this is why we're recognizing Jake Fleury today. Jake, we would like to recognize you in this day The certificate of recognition states this certificate is awarded to Jake Fleury, Homestead Middle School, in recognition of your commitment and dedication to academic achievement by earning the Do the Right Thing award. The City of Homestead salutes you. Congratulations and keep up the good work. I have a few other awards. I would like to ask two students to come forward. Well, Jake Fleury, you might want to come back over here. There's other awards, two students. Joseph Lobello, is he here? Josephine. Sorry about it, Josephine. Sorry about that. Hi, Josephine. These two students were chosen by the principal, Raquel Surenzi, Homestead Middle School, for top achievement in the academics, effort, conduct, and community service. The students were honored by Alberto Cavallo, the board member, and board member Larry Feldman on behalf of the district. Let me read this one for Josephine. This certificate of recognition, this certificate is awarded to Josephine Lobello, Homestead Middle School, in recognition of your commitment and dedication to the student achievement by earning top achievement in academics, effort, conduct, and community service. The City of Homestead salutes you. Congratulations. Jake, you're doing some good things here. Also, certificate of recognition. This certificate is awarded to Jake Fleury, Homestead Middle School, in recognition of your commitment and dedication to student achievement by earning top achievement in academics, effort, conduct, and community service. The City of Homestead salutes you. Thank you again, Jake. And we want to recognize at this moment Andrea Fleury. Andrea Fleury. We want to recognize you today for being the Do the Right Thing coordinator for the year 2000 and 2008. The certificate of recognition, this certificate is awarded to Andrea Fleury, Homestead Middle School, in recognition of your commitment and dedication to student achievement by earning Do the Right Thing Coordinator of the Year 2008 and 2009. The City of Homestead salutes you, and we would like you to continue what you're doing here. Thank you so much for everything. I have one more award. This is good. I was a counselor at Homestead Middle School, so I'm glad to see good things are happening there. Also, Homestead Middle School won School of the Year for the 08-09 school year out of all the middle schools in Miami-Dade County. The certificate reads, Certificate of Recognition. This certificate is awarded to Homestead Middle School and your recognition for your commitment and dedication to the student and academic achievement by earning Middle School of the Year 2008-2009. The City of Homestead salutes you. Congratulations again. I want to point out one other thing here for the Do the Right Thing winners. Top 10 out of 500 nominations.
Wow.
Each month.
That's incredible.
Congratulations. So let me get
Photo op. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. I would like to call up Principal Robin Sander for the Keysgate Charter School. Gotcha.
I miss it.
I
miss
love I would like for you to please, I know there's a performance, but if there's anything that you'd like to share with this performance, I'd appreciate if you would just share a little bit insight on this performance.
We have many representatives of our honor choir, and they are going to be led by our wonderful elementary music teacher, Lynn Davis. And the song that we selected to sing tonight, I think, is very appropriate for this time of the year because it stresses unity and peace throughout the world.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I'm going to sit over here in the front.
There she comes. Hi, 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 hi.
Sandy and then Vanessa. Girls, stand down, please. That way we can see everyone. You know what, Katie? Let's put Katie and Natalie over here. And then you two right. And it's Sandy and then Vanessa. Sandy and then Vanessa. Okay. My three speakers. Turn your candles on. Turn your candles on. Get closer together.
Tell me when to go. Go.
To Mayor Bateman and Council of the City of Homestead, thank you for the honor of getting to sing for you tonight. We are students who are part of the Keys Gate Charter School Honor Choir. Keys Gate Charter School is a wonderful school where we are able to get an excellent education under the direction of Charter Schools USA.
Keys Gate Charter School is an A school thanks to the hard working of our families, teachers, and our wonderful principal, Miss Sandler. At Keys Gate, we have a charter, character, and values program called Strive. Strive educates us about true heroes and show how integrity, performance, character, and activity, citizenship.
We would like to thank everyone here tonight for showing through your actions that being a good citizen is important to you. We know that when you use our talents to make the world a better place, you stand out like a candle lighting the way on a dark night. Our song honors all who strive to light the way and make the world a better place. We hope you enjoy our gift to you.
Sandy here. Nice deep breath.
If I light just one candle, and you light just one too, and we pass the flame from wick to wick, from us to
from you and me. With one candle, just one candle, yes, one candle burning bright. With one candle, just one candle, we can fill the world with light. If we light just one candle and pass the flame to you, all our light would glow from place to place, and we would glow there too. And when we keep it going, the light will show your way to touch the glowing with the light that came from you and me. With one candle, just one candle, yes, one candle burning bright. With one candle, just one candle, we can fill the world with light. With one candle, just one candle, yes, one candle burning bright. With one candle, just one candle, we can fill the world with light. With one candle, just one candle, we can fill the world with light.
That's the part we like to. They gave it a solid. Thank you very much.
You got it?
All right. Thank you very much. You all are going to follow me now. Stop for a second. See that lady in the purple? Can you take this? That lady in the purple. Thank you.
Elvis.
Councilman Maldonado has one more presentation. He is taking over the show tonight. That's okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Somehow this seems to slip the agenda, but nonetheless, it takes me. I have great pleasure and an honor to recognize some of the students of Homestead, Florida, which I had the privilege of working there in my early 20s. Not that I'm an old guy or anything, but Homestead, Florida Inc. Youth Leadership Division is present tonight to observe the leadership of our Homestead officials and their parliamentary procedures, as each aspirante is eagerly learning and embracing their leadership potentials. Today we want to recognize at City Homestead the aspirantes that are here, and they're all standing up here. Mayor, if you don't mind, I would like to definitely have them come up quickly and see if we could take a picture.
Sure, please come forward.
And it will be a part of the whole process today.
It's your new education chair right there, Elvis Maldonado. Councilman Elvis Maldonado. Item F on the agenda is Vice Mayor Judy Wallman to making a presentation to the Palace Gardens. Oh, excuse me. Let's back up here. Take Stock in Children. Information presentation by Councilman Williams. Sorry, Vice Mayor.
I'd like to invite Miss West up. Is she? Miss West? Oh, there she is. Okay. Mayor, I want to met with Miss West the other day, and she just has an incredible idea that will probably be forward to the Education Committee, just giving heads up. But what really impressed me about this presentation, it's a more of a mentorship piece that Miss West is going to present to us tonight, but also Take Stock in Children has served over 16,000 children throughout 67 counties in the state of Florida. And they've also has over, I think, 109 million in prepaid foundation. As well as Take Stock in Children has generated over 1 million hours in mentoring volunteer hours. So I'll turn it over to the presentation to Ms. West.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me this evening. Thank you for having me this evening, and sorry about that. It seems that the theme of mentoring and giving students hope is present already in this evening's presentations. My name is Karen West, and I'm here on behalf of Take Stock in Children. I am their mentor recruiter and marketing manager, and I'm going to give you a general overview of what Take Stock in Children is, as well as how our mentoring component works. Our mission with Take Stock in Children is to passionately promote personal growth and self-responsibility within at-risk youth within the state of Florida. The program began in 1995 and is a comprehensive academic and scholarship and mentoring program that is currently operating in Miami-Dade County with the assistance of Miami-Dade College as well as Miami-Dade County Public Schools. The students that we serve, they begin the program anywhere from the 6th and the 7th grade, and we follow them all the way through high school. So we're with our students for a total of anywhere from 6 years if we're going through bringing students in the 7th grade, which is the normal student population that we have. The students that come into our program are generally first-generation college students. They have single-parent household. They must maintain a C average, as well as about 5 or so other risk factors that are very much present in the packets that each of you have. When they're brought into the program, each of the students are brought to a ceremony which is called a contract signing. At this ceremony, the students pledge to maintain the 2.0 or C average. They have to attend school regularly, in addition to remain crime and drug-free in order to stay in the program. And upon completion of these things for the 6 years within the program, the students receive a 2+2 or 2-year scholarship within the state of Florida. In order to aid the students in maintaining these grades and the guidelines that we've set for them, we provide them with volunteer mentors. And the mentors meet with the students regularly. It is for 1 hour. It's at the school site, and they are essentially life coaches for our students. They are normally, in different cases, council members, the mayors, and as well as individuals from the community at large. And this year, we are actually bringing in 20 students from within Homestead, 10 of which are from Campbell Drive, as well as another 10 that are going to be from Redlands Middle. And we would love to open it up for any of you to become mentors with us, to make this a part of your Mayor's Mentoring Initiative, as well as for us to be able to work with you on anything that is dealing with your education compact and making this something that you guys are very open to within the community, as well as yourself as the mayor or anyone on the council.
Are there any questions?
Where do we sign up?
Exactly.
Would you go through the process on how we can sign up, or what other areas do you need our assistance in? I know you were telling me about you needed 10 mentors or more that you need. So you go through that very quickly. That will
Yes, in order, as I stated previously, in order to bring the students into the program at the time of their contract signing, when we bring in the 20 students here in Homestead, we have to have 10 mentors or a mentor for each of the students. Currently, we've secured 10 through a previous partnership that we have established, but the reason I was introduced to Councilman Williams is that we are very much so in need of an additional 10 mentors who I would come out and train, as well as go through whatever the school board's fingerprinting process is with each of the individuals, and then they would be assigned a student whom they would meet with and become coaches for.
Yes, Mr. Maldonado.
Just please leave us, you already have our contact information? Okay. So we...
Do you want me to go over it again just in case?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If you guys need to reach me, I'm at Miami-Dade College Wolfson campus, and it's 305-237-7571. And another way to reach me is also via email, and that's carin.west@mdc.edu.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item F, Vice Mayor.
to adjust. I don't know where they went. Lizzie and Josh, come forward. As they walk forward, I'd just like to say that so often I always say that we have angels amongst us. And here's two angels. Let me tell you something. They represent the Palace Gardens. They're my family. I mean that literally. And I know Mr. Bateman, his family as well.
Oh,
Mayor Bateman, sorry.
Ditto.
But Palace Gardens, they know is not in their vocabulary. Robert Landon and I were talking the other day. They just help us so many times. And just recently they hosted the Thanksgiving dinner for our senior citizens, and they're hosting our Christmas dinner for our senior citizens. And they had a little brunch for the council the other day, and Josh made the huge mistake of saying, "Hey Judy, anything else you need?" And I said, "Yes." And so we gave a present to Pastor Williams. They're hosting the Martin Luther King breakfast as well. So, Palace Gardens, you are true angels, and I'd like to just talk a little bit about the garden.
Yeah, definitely it is a pleasure for us to serve the community. We've been down here for almost 30 years, so it's definitely a pleasure to do it. We're in assisted living located in Homestead, in downtown Homestead, so it is a pleasure for us to help us any way we can. Thank you.
She's the fun
No, again, just thank you. Definitely the Palace Gardens is here to help out in the community any way that we can. And I mean, you know, we're here to service not just the elderly, but like, again, in any way that we can, we're here to help out. Thank you.
Lizzie and I did the first breast cancer walk last year, and we weren't able to do one this year for whatever reasons, but I'll tell you what, we're going to do one this coming October for sure. But I'd like to present to you this certificate of recognition to the Palace Gardens in appreciation for your sponsorships that helped to make the Homestead Senior Center luncheons a success. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you once again.
Lizzie's crying. Mayor, I just want to tell you that is such a big deal to host the Martin Luther King breakfast. I was so afraid to say the number when Josh offered to do that, and I said about 300 to 400, and he goes, "Not a problem." He's always not a problem. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. At this time, if I have no objections, I'd like to move item 8, which is public comment, up now before item 5. So, asking council, parliamentary procedure, if there are no objections, let's move to public comment at this time. Do we have public comment? Please come forward. This is something that this council has agreed to move it forward so that our public does not have to stay into the wee hours of the evening sometimes.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, City Manager. My name is Yvonne Knowles. I'm Director of Homestead Main Street. I'm pleased to announce that on December the 10th, in collaboration with the City of Homestead, Mr. Robert Landon, Park and Rec, we're putting on the Christmas in Losner Park event. I'd just like to take a quick second here and thank the lady who was doing this for the last 2 years, Elizabeth Bozinski. I don't know if she's here this evening, but it's a tough job putting on events downtown in Losner Park. There's a lot of coordination. There's a lot of organizing the various factions and the groups that come to the park, and I thank the lady who did it for the City of Homestead for the last 2 years. I understand she's now working for Homestead Air Reserve Base, and I wish her great luck, and I know she's going to do a great job there too. But Homestead Main Street is now working with Mr. Landon. We're thrilled to be back working on the events downtown, and we have a poster. We're putting it around downtown and throughout the city, and the event will be in Losner Park on the 10th, starting at 6 o'clock. We will have a presentation on the stage. We're going to have some wonderful talent from the Expressions Dance Company and from the Haitian Women's Organization for Women, Kokita. And we're going to have the kindergarten children singing a Christmas carol, and the teenagers were singing also. And we also have a presentation from the Baptist Church of Homestead, First Baptist Church on Chrome Avenue. And then we're going to move right into the Christmas tree lighting ceremony with Mayor Bateman and Vice Mayor Baldwin and the council. And then the big surprise, something new and exciting on Losden Park. We're turning downtown Losden Park into an outdoor theater. And they're going to have a big screen set up in the park, courtesy of Park and Rec in City of Homestead. And we're going to show an undefined movie because we don't own the copyright to it. So it's a wonderful animated Christmas tale, wonderful for the whole family to enjoy. Please bring your blankets, your chairs, your thermos, because it might be a little bit cool that evening, for the hot chocolate in it, and come and enjoy a wonderful evening in Losder Park. We will have crepe maker there making crepes. We will have popcorn and snow cones for the children. But it is an event designed for the whole family, and we hope you'll come down and support the city's efforts to really encourage everybody to enjoy a very Merry Christmas. So please come to Losder Park, December the 10th, 6 o'clock p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone who's working on that. Robert Landon, thank you so much. The Vice Mayor, they've put in an unbelievable amount of hours. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful Christmas celebration. Any further comment from the public? Oh, hi, how you doing?
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. I'm here tonight as a resident and homeowner, and I have a couple of words to say. One of them is, I'm not sure if I heard correctly at the political forums, but everybody that was in attendance at the political forums that is now sitting up here on the dais, except for the two incumbents that didn't have to run, Mr. Burgess is here and Ms. Lobos isn't, but they were the only two that weren't there, but the others that were there promised everybody that they were going to protect our tax dollar. So I thought that was impressive. They did not want to raise taxes. They guaranteed us they wouldn't waste our money. Yet here I'm standing, and I've watched this debacle with the city manager. Now I read in the paper that we are putting him on a suspension with pay for 3 months. I have no idea what that kind of money is, but I can guarantee you it's more than I get in my Social Security check. So, how does this happen from people that have guaranteed us that we will not waste your money? If there was something wrong with the city manager, who I have to say unequivocally I have never had a problem with, he handled many situations that I brought to him when I went to Mr. Ivey, and Mr. Ivey said that he would look into it, and then I would get a call from the assistant city manager, Mr. Shahada, and he would give me an answer or say he would look into it. He became the city manager, never had a problem. He was cordial, he addressed all the things, he directed the different department heads to look at the concerns we have over on the east side. So I'm a little bewildered by some of the comments, and I didn't hear them personally, so I can't say that the newspaper quoted the person correctly, but I am disturbed with that. And then fast forward, we got rid of a department head, and the same day or 2 days later, we brought in a new department head. That was done by an acting city manager. Now Sergio, I've known him for many years, so it's not a personality issue. It's a procedural issue. When we make changes of that nature, that high up, I just can't see how an acting city manager who is just a caretaker, makes those kinds of changes. I'm really disturbed by it all, and I hope you as the council will sit back and reflect on this and be able to report to us, the taxpayer, how these actions have actually saved us money. Thank you.
Any further comments from the audience? Any further comments from the audience?
Yes.
Yes.
Good
No.
evening. Good evening. Yes, I came here to put my comments into the record. My name is Linda Bell, address 343 Northwest 19th Street, Homestead. I came here 2 weeks ago when we had the special call meeting concerning the discussion on the city manager and the proposed suspension of the city manager. I came prepared to speak and put my comments into the record 2 weeks ago, and we were not allowed public comment. And so since I was not allowed public comment 2 weeks ago, I decided to come tonight and read my comments into the public tonight. I think everybody should be afforded that opportunity. Aristotle stated, criticism is something that you can avoid easily by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. Aldous Huxley said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you mad. This manager, Mr. Shahada, has often stated the truth, and the truth has made some people mad. And I'm reading this from 2 weeks ago, so it's a little out of date. Tonight we are discussing the city manager's ouster, pure and simple. While I know Mike Shahada is one of the hardest working and ethical managers I have ever had the privilege to work with, I am not here tonight to defend him. I'm here to defend the city's charter. The charter is clear. You may not touch the city manager for a period of 3 months following an election. This is for stability and continuity and to provide for a smooth transition. What is happening to this manager is eerily reminiscent of the ousting of the former internal auditor, James Albritton, whose only crime was in his doing his job too well. And according to one former council member, he wasn't nice. That is really no different than what is happening here tonight. We simply have a personality clash, and some perceive an act of vengeance. If the charter were being followed in a legal manner, I would not be standing here tonight. I would not. The charter is the constitution of the city, and the city's constitution is being violated. And with all due respect to the then acting manager, Captain Randy Chong, who was a wonderful man, I believe he was being used to hire and fire at the will of whomever, an elected official, bypassing the will and the intent of the charter. The mayor and council may not direct staff, especially in the hiring and the firing of employees. We have placed 2 on administrative leave, 2 have been fired, and 1 person has been hired. It is less than puzzling how these decisions were made without a manager with the history of these employees. It is clear that these hirings and firings were directed by elected official. 2 years ago, we followed the city's charter to the letter by waiting the required 90 days and having a very smooth transition. In fact, we were praised by the editorial board of the Miami Herald for handling of the issue. Tonight, I'm afraid this will not go well and the charter will be violated. And yes, I know the bright and capable attorneys will find a way to make it happen. And I really do hope and pray that the new folks on council will be careful of the deliberations in this matter. Now, today, since this meeting 2 weeks ago, I've been informed that Deputy Manager Joanna Faddis and Ray Ortiz from Development Services have also been fired. It is not possible for this new acting manager who has been on the job for only a little while to know enough about these employees to fire them. All of these actions are very troubling. There is now no one in the manager's office with the knowledge and history that this city needs to be run. I wondered aloud what was the rush. And this is why we have a charter and why it should be followed. If there is a reason or a cause, the cause should be stated at the time of suspension. Putting the manager on administrative leave to check out rumors is appalling and clearly wrong. The charter states that the manager cannot be touched for 90 days. Thank you so much. And Merry Christmas to you all.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, for the future, who keeps time?
We do.
Okay, would that be your position? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions from the audience? No further questions from the audience? No further questions from council? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda. We have a motion to move.
I move the consent agenda.
We have a second. I think that's this mic here. Left on, yes, that was it. Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of consent agenda. Questions? Comments? No questions, no comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Carries. Okay, item 6, public hearing. Richard, City Attorney?
Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment on any of these items, please indicate the item number you'd like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda package on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Section 2591, any lobbyist must register for addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, the council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda. At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any quasi-judicial item.
Please stand and raise your right hand. I state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you.
Item A. Yes, tab A is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a request of 10 Acres LLC for a 12-month extension to a previously approved site plan for a residential development consisting of 92 twin homes on approximately 10.25 acres located on Southwest 336th Street between Southwest 172nd Avenue and Southwest 167th Avenue within the villages of Homestead, Development of Regional Impact, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
So moved, Mayor.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
Mayor.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
James, this is just an extension, which is commonly done, correct, for the record?
Yes, Vice Mayor, for the record, this is an extension to a previously approved site plan.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, would the applicant like to make any? Okay. I'll open to the public. Is anybody in the public, would any of the public like to make a comment at this time? Okay. I will close the public hearing. Final council comments? Any final council comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Next item. Yes, tab 11 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval for Palms at Bella Vista, located on Southwest 336th Street between Southwest 172nd Avenue and Southwest 167th Avenue within the villages of Homestead, Development of Regional Impact, as legally described in Exhibit A, consisting of approximately 10.25 acres and providing for an effective date. Motion?
So moved, Mayor.
Second?
I'll second it.
Staff report?
Mr. Mayor,
Sure.
Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, this is an ministerial step that follows, a series of approvals that took place back in last year, and it's the same development that you just extended. This is the last step in the planning process, and from here it goes to the county to get the final, recording, to be finally recorded there, and that would be the end of that process.
Okay, is the applicant here?
The applicant representative is here.
Would you like to speak?
My name is Omar Armenteros, address 1950 Northwest 94th Avenue, Doral, Florida. Do you have any comments or questions of me?
Questions
More than
from the
glad to
council?
answer.
Any questions from the council?
Just one question, Mr. Mayor. On the letter that was provided on item 2, it was mentioning some permanent control points were missing. Has that since been rectified? On the letter that's included in the packet here from High Surveying and Mapping, it mentioned that there were some permanent control points that had not been set yet. Do we know if that's been, I assume, rectified?
Applicant?
Yes, they've been bonded for.
My apologies, I didn't quite understand the question. Could you repeat it, Councilman?
No, I was asking on the letter that's included in the packet here from High Surveying. It mentioned that on sub-item 2 that there were some permanent control points that had yet to be
Yes.
completed.
That
I
was
just want to make sure it was put in there before
when
final
they
plat.
submit the plat to us, we by law have to have a professional surveyor review the plat. Those were the comments that he made. The plat was revised accordingly, and now it's coming before you.
So that was, as long as that was rectified, that's all I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll open the hearing to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Close the public hearing. Final council comments? Hearing no final council comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Item carries. Next item, legislative matters, 7.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending Resolution 2009-107 concerning the Comprehensive Council meeting and agenda procedures by revising, updating, and restating provision providing for conflict severability, providing for an effective date, superseding Resolution 2009-107 on the same subject.
Entertain a motion to move.
I'll move it, Mayor, with a question.
Sure. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, question, Ms. Weissman?
Somewhere in here.
I'd like to hear staff report.
Oh, sure.
No, you don't have to very much.
Well-
Staff report?
Basically, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, what this resolution does, in essence, is it provides for, your regular meetings, your special meetings, rules, it sets forth the rules of order, Robert's Rules of Order. But the main point is that in the order of business, you had requested, and you referred to this particular item at the beginning of the meeting, that public comments be changed to the beginning of the hearing, and that a section for the city attorney's report be added. That's in essence really what this resolution entails.
Right, there are no other changes. These are existing council procedures, and those two minor changes.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
I found it here. It says that general public comments portion of the meeting shall be limited to 5 minutes maximum. And right now, I think we have a 3-minute maximum. So,
Is that something we need to address while we're amending this?
it's on page 7.
Yeah, let me find it.
On page 8, it does limit it to 3, though.
You can go, in my opinion, if I may, you can go up to 5, but you can set it up anytime, at any time between.
Page 8 reads 3 minutes, but I guess...
I think it should be consistent, though, throughout.
Let me just look at it. Computer's really great, except when I need to find something.
What was page 8
I see it. I would just feel more comfortable, Mayor, if it were 3 minutes across the board, so that we would never have a problem.
Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Williams.
Yeah. I think I think the item that Vice Mayor raises is that one of them deals with the public discussion at a public hearing as 5 minutes, and then the other one is just public comment that you're moving up. So one will be for the public hearing at 5, and then the other is just public comments that's not on the agenda that will be 3 minutes. If I'm reading that right.
Correct.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, please.
Sometimes, we have as many as 10 or 15 people that want to speak under an issue, so that's why I would just like to see 3 minutes across the board. It's just my opinion.
I believe that on the public comment section of, and this is what we are amending today, and we moved it up in the order. The time limit shall be 3 minutes. Now, if you have an application that comes before you and that it may be, for example, quasi judicial, an item that you have on the agenda, and you have people that would like to either speak in favor or object to that, you could go up to 5 minutes in that deliverance.
Right, there's two different sections. One section deals with the sort of general public comments when people come up, and then this section addressing the council, this is at public hearings or at items which are open for public discussion are limited to 5 minutes. So you can limit it to 3 for both. When this was drafted, it felt that if there's a specific item on the agenda that you might want to give the public a little bit more opportunity to speak, but there's certainly no problem. If you want to change it, I think you should change it this evening so we're done with this.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
It clearly states in here that if it is a matter that we see that there's a great public concern, that the mayor has the discretion to extend the time.
Correct. So you could, if you want to leave 3 minutes for both and then have that time extended by the mayor. Right. Okay, that would take a motion to change the 5 minutes maximum per person to 3 minutes, leaving the mayor with the authority to grant the extension if it was necessary. If you wanted to amend this, that would be appropriate at this time.
I would like to do that.
Requires a second.
Motion by Vice Mayor. We have a second for that amended?
I'll second that. Mayor.
Second.
Yes.
Any further discussion, Mr. Burgess? Williams?
So vote on the amendment first and then on the motion as amended.
Okay. On the original amendment, should we not go through public comment?
Okay.
At this time, any further questions from council? No further questions from council. I'd like to open up to public. Any questions from the public on this matter, on this first issue, which is in writing on the agenda? No further questions from the public. Final comments from council. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Nay. Motion carries. Okay. You want to read the motion now as Mrs. Wallen made it? Would you do that, Richard, for us?
Okay, so now you're voting on the resolution as amended by Vice Mayor's amendment.
Okay, would you please repeat those words for us?
Voted on her amendment.
No.
Voted on her amendment, and now it's on the main motion as amended. So this is a motion, a vote on the resolution.
Okay, as it's written. Okay. Any comments from the public on the main resolution? If not, if there's no comments, I'd like to close the public meeting and final comments from council. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Next item.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing payment to the Florida Reliability Coordinating Council for penalties associated with the March 31st, 2008 NERC Electric Reliability Standard Compliance Audit, providing an effective date.
Entertain a motion for approval.
I move for its approval.
Second.
Second.
Staff report.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, this is the FRCC has had a set of criteria, a set of standards that, the plant, our utility must follow on a yearly basis. However, these guidelines they were just guidelines. Just this year they became a mandate, and therefore a number of, all the cities and companies that run this kind of business were subject to them, and an audit was conducted. The audit revealed, we looked at pretty much 46 standards that they reviewed. Out of the 46 standards, 33 in our case were found compliant and 6 non-compliant. we are, on the average, we took a look at what the impact has been across the board with other municipalities and such. The average at the municipal level, it's about 42,000. FPL, I believe it's in the much higher, in the millions. So everybody got a hit. Most importantly, what have we done in light of this to prevent this from happening again is we had tasked one of our staff, our engineers, to really look at these standards, follow over the next years what's changing in the things that they're going to be looking at when they audit us, and therefore eliminate any possibilities of being fined again. But as it stands, we have been fined for $47,000 as a result. If you have any questions, I'll be
Questions from council?
I got a question, Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Will we be getting a report on the task, or the person that was tasked already with this job? We want to make sure there's not an oversight committee, but that someone is following up with a report. I would like to see a report of some type.
We will follow through with a report if that is your wish. When we're nearing the audit time, we will be preparing and alerting you to any issues that we might have to bring before your attention.
Thank you.
Any further comments from council? Yes, Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair to the manager, have these problems that we were fined for, have they all been resolved at this time, or?
We have been, yes. The answer is yes. We are currently looking at these violations, and I believe most of them have been already corrected. We just on the lookout for new. This is changing, so we don't want to be surprised with anything in the future, and a lot of that has to do with our relationship with with the auditors and what they are expecting us to do, and that needs to be an ongoing relationship. So we'll definitely stay on top of this one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments from the public? Any further comments from the council? All in favor? Aye. Nays? Motion carries. Next item.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the federal financial assistance agreement between the Federal Department of Energy and the City of Homestead, providing the city funding assistance for implementation of a homestead energy efficiency and conservation program, authorizing the execution of the agreement, providing for implementation of the agreement, providing for an effective date.
Entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, this is on the other side of the spectrum. We're happy to report that the consultants that we have working on this issue were able to come up with a $541,700 in the grant form. You are asked to do two things tonight. Number one, accept the grant from the Department of Energy, and secondly, to establish the budget in that amount so that we can proceed with expenditures. Now, we have a strategy that we have submitted to you in the packet, and also, what the next steps are going to be, for the use of that money. That's basically the whole thing. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy.
Questions? Any questions from the council?
Yes.
Yes, Mr.
There are a couple questions that I have. And we've kind of really discussed it with the manager and the director, but I just want to put it on the record. I know in the future, anytime that we will be using consulting firms, through you, Mr. Mayor, and to the city manager, that a brief history will help make my job of research a little bit easier. And then also in this agreement, they have subcontractors. And when we accept these consultants, if they're going to be subbing the work, I would like through you, Mayor, that we make sure that we get a background of the sub-consultants or contractors that they're going to be using to actually facilitate the work. That's really my main concern on this issue. I'm going to go ahead and vote in favor of course, but there's some small things that I need in order to be intelligent to vote on things like this. So if we can add that to the packet at some point in the near future of any contracts, because in this contract it states that we're hiring JM Global Consulting Inc., but then at the bottom of the next page, the consultants may contract with CTG Inc. So I don't know who that is. So in the future, if we want to make sure if we're assigning them the work, that they also put in the packet the subcontractors that they will be using, so it will be a part of the whole packet, and not just they can bring them on at a later date and we're not,
Good point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We had the conversation, and we'll be providing, whenever we use, approved contractors or even when we know that they're going to be using subcontractors, we will be providing you all that information. In addition to a brief history as to, how they got there, how they were, how they made it to the list of vendors and or final selection of RFP bidders, or whatever the case may be. We'll provide you that information as part of your background.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
One more concern, Mayor, on this.
Yes,
And,
Mr. Reyes.
The insurance part, with the consultants shall at all times carry comprehensive general liability insurance. If they're using subcontractors, do they fall under the umbrella of JM Global Consulting? Because I don't want the city to be at liability with that.
All consultants that work with the city through our procurement department, they have to provide insurance, and they have to have the city as a certificate holder. And depending on the type of contract, varies the amount of the insurance requirements. So we do have those on record.
Also for the subcontractors?
For the subcontractors.
And okay, that's my concern.
I know that there's been at times in the professional end of it where some of our consultants have not carried errors and omissions insurance. And we've talked about that in some of our recent meetings, so I know we're gonna keep up that practice, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from council? The public, any questions from public? Okay, no further questions from public. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Item carries. Next resolution.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving and authorizing a group insurance contract with AvMed as insurer, providing for implementation and an effective date.
I'll move it with questions.
Moved. Second.
Second.
Questions from council?
Just comments?
Yes, comments?
Yes,
Go ahead.
if I could.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, staff. I want to thank Bruce from T.R. Jones and for his diligent work here. I think if this passes tonight, the council's done a very prudent thing here, because we've capped next year at 13%, and everybody knows that is just a great rate to get locked in. Oh, well, they're capped. We're not going to exceed that. So we're actually going to save a little bit of money on this coming year from what we were given, or what we had budgeted, and and next year we're locked in at 13%, where we had some people came back with 27% as a rate for us, and 25% and 22%. So I think that the city is doing a great service here for their employees and for the taxpayers, both by locking in and getting such a great rate. So I just want to say thank you to Bruce and the gentleman from AvMed there. I can't remember his name. I met him earlier this evening. Thank you to him and for their hard work, and we're looking forward to a great relationship, and I hope it works for a long term. Thank you.
Any further questions from council?
Yes, I'm on the other side of that coin. As I did my comparison, Mayor, in the process of us being abreast of this, when I got to the table, there were only a comparison of the current United Healthcare that was already off the table, and then what the T.R. Jones and the Human Resource Department gathered that given us admin, which really to me was not a true apples to apples. It was apples to oranges. We've already kind of made the decision not to go with United Healthcare. What I was more intrigued about was what the other companies were doing, and that is Aetna. As I look and I compare Aetna with AdMed, to me, in my personal opinion, is that with AdMed, the employee will have less coverage on some of these issues than with Aetna. AdMed is for the employee, it's more out of pocket for employee on certain services. For instance, if I had to go to the doctor and they had to take lab work or x-ray, AdMed will cover 100% if it's in my HMO. With AdMed, well, AdMed will cover 100%. AdMed, if they did not have the blood work done in the office or x-ray done in the doctor's office, then it's pretty much not covered. My only concern is that even that we're saving money, I think in the budget they increased it a sizable amount to 10%. Aetna is at 8%, AdMed is at 5%. Now, what the city will be paying on a monthly premium, though it's good for the city, in my opinion, it's more out of pocket for the employees when you do apples to apples. My recommendation is that in the future, if we are not going with a certain company and we're being present all of the companies, and that way we're able to make an intelligent decision than just feeding me one company versus what we had before. Aetna on some things are better. For outpatient, they cover 100%. For MRIs or scans on HMO, they cover 100%. Mammograms, they cover $25. But with AdMed, they only cover a certain amount on AdMed. Our monthly premium that the city pays monthly, and correct me if I'm wrong, city manager, we pay in a monthly, estimated monthly premium, the difference will be about maybe $12,000 difference for the total premium. So even though AdMed is at 5%, Aetna is at 8%. And so the cost difference is about $12,000 that will be absorbed. But my main issue is that it's going to cost the employees more out of pocket with AdMed than it does Aetna. And so I'll hear from the staff through you, Mayor, from the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Sorry, gotta get used to this. Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, in our review, and we know the history, we just simply could not continue with the current provider because we budgeted 10%, which was on the high end of what any city would expect, and 27% was really, the message was that they didn't want to have our business in a way. They came down to a 20% eventually, but still up there. We consulted with several other providers that ranged from Blue Cross Blue Shield bid at 22%, United Healthcare 20%, Cigna 15%, Vista was 10%, and then, of course, you know, the two that were on the table. When I met, the meetings that I had, I did, you know, but there were meetings mostly geared with, I sat down with the IBW, with our IBW and the the police, PVA. I explained to them the main, where we were and what, you know, on the one hand, you have Aetna. Aetna is a national company. Aetna, the switch was seamless in terms of the coverage that we had, and that was clearly explained to them. And that, on the other side, we had, and then the third component of that pertaining to Aetna is that their percent was 8%. Next year, they did not give us what Aetna provided us with, which was that cap. I felt somewhat compelled and comfortable to lean that way from that perspective. In addition to that, on the other side, AvMed provided a 5%. And when you really look at the coverages, you know, the day-to-day, the practical day-to-day activity that you have in any household with kids, basically what we looked at was the difference, the main difference was the difference in copay that was either $10 or $5. There was another difference, main difference in injectables. However, you can overcome the difference by using the mail order option, which actually allow you to experience some savings. And the other items that you mentioned, there were other provisions within both AvMed that balanced out pretty much the equation at the end of the day, because some were more, some were less, the majority were equal. All in all, we felt that we still had a very good health insurance for our employees. We had, in addition to that, great savings. We were going to experience anywhere between, I believe it was between $160,000 and $170,000 right off just by going this way. And you know, even, and I put, just so you know, we have this cap, but our job is to analyze this every year. Yes, we have the cap, the 13% cap, but that cap comes with some provisions, some conditions to them, which we may or may not have. And what I'm trying to say is that if in the event that we reach that point next year, we're going to go outside again and do this thing again. Our job is to make sure that they have the best protection for the least amount of money, the most bang for your dollar. Based on what I had, the information that I have before me, it came, and after making the comparisons that we made, I came to the conclusion that the best business decision for the city that took care of our employees was to go with the AvMed. I grant you, the other one is, has that ability that, you know, we have, I believe we have 5 employees that could benefit right away from the fact that they are, these are retired employees that are out of the state, so they benefit from the national presence of Aetna. And you know, it's like you said, it's a seamless coverage. It's a path of least resistance. But in light of the market, in light of the economy, even these insurance companies are making business decisions, some of which affected us. The plan that we had with currently have is United is wonderful, but we just simply can't have it anymore. And there is a lot of uncertainties as to the health business, How may change next year? So some of these companies are saying, well, let's wait and see what happens, and let's not risk it. So bottom line, based on what I had in front of me, it was a decision that was twofold. It was based on what I thought was, will benefit our employees the best way possible and still save the city some money.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, but it's not benefiting the employees. That's what my concern is. It's when you do a real comparison, apples to apples, the employee will be more out of pocket at the end of the day. For instance, maximum out of pocket for Aetna is $1,000. Maximum out of pocket is $1,500. For the family, it's $2,000 from Aetna. For AdMed, it's $3,000. And so with prescription coverage, with AdMed, it's for a two-tier brand, it's 30. With Aetna, it's 25. There are a lot of differences in the plan itself that though it may be better for us as a city as a whole, but I understand that. But the employees will be more out of pocket in the long run. And let's say our employees travel somewhere outside of Homestead or Florida City or Florida. Yeah, I mean, I understand about the 5 people who are retired. But my question, and it's not really a question, but it is a very legitimate concern of mine with how it was presented. It was not presented as.
By the way, you will be covered. If you travel and you have an emergency, even though it's not a national plan, you will be covered under this.
If I may, no, thank you. If I may, let's hear from the company itself. Please state your name.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, my name is Bruce Fitzpatrick. I'm with T.R. Jones and Company. We represent the city as far as their benefit plan is concerned. And I'd like to address Councilman Williams' concern. Like I said, we met with each individual council member, and hopefully we tried to address their concerns. The issue with AvMed versus Aetna is pretty much an exact match, that's true. And AvMed is not quite an exact match. However, it's important to bring out, and that wasn't really brought out, was that in many cases, the AvMed plan is better than what we're doing now, particularly on the HMO. And it's also better than what Aetna is doing on the HMO. For instance, if you have an inpatient service under AvMed's HMO, you pay $250. With the Aetna, you pay $500. The prescription drugs are, as Councilman Williams brought up, are slightly higher in the second and third tier. However, the copay for mail order is 2 times for AvMed, and it's 2.5 times for Aetna, so that pretty much cancels that out. As far as the out-of-pocket maximum is concerned, the fact on the HMO that both of these have out-of-pocket maximums is a good thing, because under our prior coverage with United Healthcare, we didn't have a stop loss. So in the event an employee was hospitalized multiple times, they would continue to pay that copay. Where under AvMed, he is capped at $1,500, and under Aetna, I believe, excuse me a second. Under Aetna, I believe it was $1,000. And on the POS, the out-of-pocket maximum could be $500 more under the AvMed than the Aetna. With regard to Councilman Williams' concern about the lab and the X-ray, it is true if it's done in the doctor's office with AvMed, it's a zero. It's part of your doctor copay. If you do it at a freestanding facility, it costs you $25. We feel like that's a minimum difference. If you're traveling across the country on the HMO, you're covered for emergency purposes. If you do a lot of traveling, or if you feel like you're going to be out of the area for a good deal of the time, then perhaps you should go on the POS, which is national coverage. When looking at it, like I said, AvMed, I think everybody saw the extensive reference list that AvMed had. They have a lot of public entities, one of the major ones being Metropolitan-Dade County. I think everybody would agree that Metropolitan-Dade County, with their employees, probably needs a lot more out of service area coverage than City of Homestead does, because obviously they have more national retirees. We basically have 5 retirees throughout the state of Florida. In looking at this, the rate on AvMed was lower. The plan differences are insignificant. In some cases, they're better, some cases slightly worse. But I think we went over this with every council member. I don't recall at any of those meetings that anybody was particularly disturbed by the differences in coverages. I know the HR department went over the differences with the unions, and they had some what I would call minimal concerns. The rate cap, I think, is a huge item. As the city manager noted, this year we originally had a 27% increase. Healthcare, as everybody knows, is a big problem, and what we don't want to do is end up with a bad year claim-wise, end up with another 25 or 30% increase, and be forced into a situation, if we can't get a better quote elsewhere, of having to go back to our employees and say, now you don't have a $500 deductible, perhaps you have to have $1,000. So I agree with Councilman Williams. Aetna presented a great package. I think we mentioned that in all the meetings. It's very much an apples to apples. But when you come right down to it, Aetna would not provide a second-year rate guarantee. AvMed would. And basically, in looking at it, that was the reason why we made that recommendation.
Question. In my case, with Aetna's PPO or POS, whichever you call it, what's the procedure in changing in midstream? Is that even possible? Let's say there's a catastrophic, problem, or somebody retires and they change their mind.
Basically, unless you have a situation where somebody moved out of the service area and was forced to go from the HMO to POS, none of the companies really allow you to change in the middle of the year. So, once you start on a particular plan, then you can switch it at your annual open enrollment. But the decision you make for your open enrollment pretty much follows you for that year, unless, like I said, you have a change in location, which renders your other coverage not quite the same. So,
thank you. Yes, Councilman Williams.
Yes, you said that with AvMed, they will only be covered if there is an emergency with the HMO, right?
Correct.
Okay, now, with the HMO, we have about a total of 100, according to this, about 329 employees on HMO.
That's where the majority of our people are, yes.
That's my problem right there. So with that, if they're out of the area and if it's emergency, and we got majority of our employees on HMO, they will only, I guess my reservation is, what constitute an emergency?
Emergencies are pretty clear cut. I mean, if you're having chest pains, that's an emergency. If you're unconscious, that's an emergency. In other words, it's life-threatening situations, an obvious, horribly broken bone. In other words, an emergency is not having a cold, an obvious high fever for a child or an adult, something that's not sustainable. So something that's life-threatening, something for which a prudent person would pursue health care in a hospital emergency room. So,
One more question, Mayor, and then I'm done. With Aetna and the HMO, would they cover outside of plan by Aetna National Network? With
Yes.
HMO?
The Aetna HMO is a national plan, but you still have to be in a service area where the providers are. If you're not in a service area, then it would be covered for emergency only. But you do make a point that somebody out of the state of Florida would have a better opportunity to go on, if they're on the HMO, to go to a doctor in a non-emergency situation. That's correct. However, the other thing to consider is how many of those situations are going to occur. I grant you they can occur, but are we going to make a decision based on 5 people out of the state of Florida and another 4 that are out of the service area in the state? And that's only something you can answer.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Shelley.
Listening to the back and forth and the weighing the options, I did something similar to Councilman Williams, and looking at the 2 plans versus AvMed versus Aetna, as an employee, a city employee now who will be covered by this insurance, I would prefer the Aetna myself. But then looking at a global picture and how it affects the budgetary position of the city going forward and things of that nature, I think that the AvMed, although I'm not that happy with it per se, is the best overall win-win for both budgetary concerns of the city as well as employees of the city. And so weighing those back and forth, I can support going with the AvMed. Though again, one of the things I want to make sure is very clear from this record, one of the things that makes me support that is this cap in year 2. So I want to make sure on the record it's very clear by the AvMed representative here that this is a locked in, obviously I know there's a few conditions that I've read, but I want to make sure it's on the record because that's really the selling point for me. If it wasn't for that, I'd be going for Aetna instead and saying no to AvMed.
We do have a letter from from AvMed outlining that cap. And there was 2 instances where that could be adjusted, and I thought they were both reasonable. One of them would be if the demographics of the city changed dramatically. If we, laid off 150 people or something like that, and our numbers went down to that level, which nobody foresees that happening. The second one is drastic legislative changes from the federal government regarding health care. And again, I don't think anybody foresees, I foresee some changes, but nothing drastic, and most of that stuff won't take effect, even if it did.
You're kidding me, right?
2014 or 15.
Don't make that comment.
And Mr. Mayor, one last follow-up.
Yes, Mr.
But this either way, at the end of the next year, we can move on to somebody else. This isn't a two-year contract.
In other words, and also it's not,
right.
yeah, we're hoping for better than the 13. I'd like to get a single-digit increase, but at least our downside risk is capped. And I think that overall, that's the main difference. And I think if Aetna had provided a second-year cap, then the decision becomes much more difficult. But they didn't. Yes, Ms. Vice Mayor.
We talk about the HMO comparisons with Aetna and United Health, but the PPO with United Health and what AvMed calls a PPO, a POS, correct?
Yeah, it's the same type plan, yes.
How does that compare with United Healthcare? The POS plan?
The POS plan...
besides the state, being out of state.
Yeah, they're both $500 deductibles with 90% coinsurance. The AvMed plan has one advantage over the United plan in that they actually have 2 networks. So if you're in Florida and you have an issue, you could use the AvMed network and have $500 deductible, 90% coinsurance, just like we have now. If you have a significant illness and you choose to travel outside the state and I'm going to use an example. Say you went to Sloan Kettering in New York because of a cancer situation, and then you'd have the opportunity to perhaps use the PHCS network, which will be the network that our retirees will use, and it's a vast national PPO network. So the people locally would have the advantage of using the AvMed network locally and the PHCS network nationally. Obviously, our retirees out of state would be using the PHCS network. I think you noticed, I believe, one of the doctors that you know very well happens to be in AvMed, and he's not in very many others.
No, I actually double-checked that again today, and he doesn't take very many insurances at all, and he does take AvMed.
Any further questions from council? Any further questions from...
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
Sure.
In light of this discussion, I would just like to ask, I'm looking at the letter dated November 19, 2009 from AvMed regarding the 13%. And after this conversation, I am concerned about the second paragraph says additionally. It basically says they're going to keep it to 13% unless there's a major change in demographics. But it also says additionally, in the event the United States Congress enacts any health care legislation or initiatives into law between the date of this letter and January 1st, 2000, that in AvMed's estimation will have an adverse impact on AvMed's medical or operating costs, then the 13% doesn't apply. I'm concerned in light of what's going on in Washington that I think it's relatively clear that we're going to have some significant health care legislation passed, and I'm concerned that this is sort of an open-ended, and I was wondering whether Mr. Fitzpatrick had addressed that with AvMed and maybe that commitment could be clarified, because what concerns me is two things. First of all, I think legislation will be passed, number one. And number two, I think it's the language that says in AvMed's estimation will have an adverse impact on operating costs. I mean, that gives AvMed a...
Well, yeah, perhaps if you have a concern about that we could perhaps get AvMed together with yourself to make sure that you're comfortable with that language.
That's fine. That would be, that's up to council, but that's my suggestion.
Mayor, can I make a suggestion that we table this for a week? Do we have a week's time frame? What is our time frame? Because I know this has to be done before...
How do we bring it back?
Time frame had to have a special meeting.
The obvious concern is that this is a January 1st renewal. And we do have a plan in place right now that we can't really afford to keep. So we will certainly bow to council's wishes, whatever you have to do, and we'll do the best we can to get it enrolled and to get everybody into the system prior to the 1st.
How much time frame would
I don't want
the mayor
to
say?
delay this in any way, but I do think it's a very significant point. But we could approve, you could approve it subject to us getting a letter that's comfortable.
Yeah, approve it with the conditions of the city attorney agreeing with the wording.
But I just think the letter would be better to protect the city.
Yes, Mr. Williams.
Mayor, don't we have an executive session on Thursday? How many hours do we need to call a special call?
It's on Thursday, we have enough, we need 48 hours.
To do a special, would that be I guess that way most of us are already here that day.
Well,
I'm not, however, just a suggestion.
Why don't we move it with the conditions that the city attorney is going to place in the motion? And then if they do not meet those conditions in the next 3 to 5 days, then we...
Just for clarification,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Mayor.
Yes,
If they send a letter that doesn't have any kind of clarification language, is that favorable that we want, then what do we do?
Yeah.
If they come back and say, sorry, we're not...
I would speak to the mayor, and we would have he would call a special call meeting to deal with this issue.
Okay. As long as we have an out if it doesn't come out right.
Yes, Mr. Burgess.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yes,
Mayor,
Smallwood.
in light of the information that was given us today, I'd like to piggyback of what Councilman Williams said. I know we have another meeting coming up, so just want to echo what he was saying and the importance of making sure that we're going to make the right decision here and not due to, I know the time is everything, but it's also going to be a major decision that we're going to make here in the city, so.
Well,
Just want to
I
put that on
think
there.
we accomplished both those by moving forward tonight, and I'm going to let you reword the motion with
I think
the wording that you wanted. Well, let me finish. And let's get a nod from the company that 3 to 4 days we can get this letter that's going to clear up the wording. Absolutely. Is it 3 or 4 days?
Okay. I think that you move to approve the resolution, subject to, it does not become effective until the city attorney's office receives a letter in consultation with the manager and that we're comfortable with, that protects the 13% rate increase from pending changes in federal legislation that we all expect.
Do we feel comfortable with that? Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Thank you. Motion carries with 3 days. Thank you. Item 5, Martin Luther King. Want to flip that switch off over there, please, the mic? Thank you.
Mayor, I think his phone's sitting too close to the microphone.
Excuse me?
Your phone's close to the microphone.
No, it's not mine.
Okay. I know in the past it will.
Okay. Item 5.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, we have a request by Willie Brown. It's about that time of year again, where you have your Martin Luther King's parade. They have been meeting with our police department, with our parks department, and I believe everything is pretty much geared to ready and waiting for this day. On Saturday, January 16, I think I got the right day there.
Well, hold on. Hold on. Let's get a motion. And especially a brief introduction, then a motion and a second.
May I?
Yes, please continue.
I'm sorry.
They will be conducting this. Yes.
Thank you.
Parade. It's a joint effort between Florida City and the city and Homestead. The route has been defined. We will have barricades. Our police department will have obviously presence there. They're here on 2 counts. Number 1, to advise you that they will be doing this. Number 2, they are asking for a waiver of the bond, the $5,000 bond that is required for this type of application. We have only one condition as part of, we recommend that you approve this application subject to payment of the police fees at least a day prior to the event. Okay? Having said that, with your, I'm here to answer any questions you might want to add, Mr. Mayor.
Question from council first. Any questions from council? Yes, Mr. Burgess.
I just want to make sure that the police staff is comfortable with accepting that payment, 1 day prior to the event and making sure that everything's taken care of.
Councilman Burgess, we've sat down and met with them extensively and discussed it and the payments and so forth, and we do feel comfortable it would be made, payment would be made in an off-duty capacity through the Fraternal Order of Police.
Thank you. One other question, if I could, Mr. Mayor. I know when we waived the $5,000 for the Veterans Day Parade, they were going to do their own cleanup and all. Is that issue also, I guess, through solid waste or through the manager?
We can make that a condition of.
Are they going to be responsible for theirs also?
For the pickup,
okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
No.
Okay. Vice Mayor, do you have a question?
That was my question.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Applicant, please.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Bateman.
Good evening, Mayor Bateman, and also to the City Council representing the great city of Homestead. My name is Willie Brown Jr., and I'm here tonight to represent New Visions for South Dade Incorporated, a not-for-profit organization which has presented the MLK Parade and Festival in the cities of Homestead and Florida City for the past 26 years. And we are very hopeful that we will do so again on Saturday, January 16th, 2010 at 12 o'clock noon. Should you have any questions for New Visions tonight, I will try to answer those questions as they pertain to New Visions and or the upcoming planned MLK Parade and Festival. I do have a brief prepared statement that I would like to read, and I think it would have answered many of those questions that you just put forth. And so that they would be read to be entered into the minutes of this meeting for posterity. The parade route is exactly the same route as was last year's parade and will start at Northwest 3rd Avenue and Lucy Street on the south side of the street in a vacant lot located there. This means that the parade will officially begin in the city of Florida City and will partially operate on City of Homestead property, only when on the north side of Lucy Street. That's about 3 to 4 city blocks. And for the duration of the parade's foray into the city of Homestead, New Visions will secure at cost to itself the proper insurances, necessary permits, adequate security, and cleanup detail afterwards. We have already contacted Hazard Insurance for special events insurance and started doing that way back in August of this year. And verification that that is pending can be confirmed and corroborated by calling Celia at Hazard Insurance, phone number 247, area code 305-247-4004. On Thursday, we were informed that we needed to be placed on the agenda and present for tonight's meeting. To that end, we submitted the necessary documentation to Ms. Sheila Shedd on Friday by the deadline given to us by Ms. Shedd. And please note that we are here tonight appearing before you for this meeting. We contacted Kathy Milford about permits starting way back in 2009 in August, and was informed just today at 1:21 p.m. that the special permit had to be turned into her office by no later than 3 o'clock this afternoon, which gave me all of about 1.5 hours to complete the application, and I believe that you have that completed application before you. On last Thursday, we met with Councilman Williams, Chief of Police Al, and I like to call him bound for the Super Bowl role, Major Kennedy, Captain Chong, and Ms. Marlene Volker to discuss security issues for the upcoming parade with respect to Homestead. I'm certain Mayor Bateman and City Council that they can attest as both factual and accurate that this meeting occurred and all security issues, to the best of my recollection, were resolved. To Major Kennedy, and I know you're here tonight, or you were here, we're not going to pay you all one day before the parade. We're going to pay you at least 2 to 3 weeks before the parade. So that's an error. I don't know where that came from. So that's all the security issues. We have not, as of this time, determined whether or not to utilize Homestead sanitation. We don't know if we're required to do that, or if we're going to go with a private firm to do cleanup. But New Vision's promise to you tonight is that we will have this question settled before we pay the city for the permits needed to hold the parade sometime in early January. And again, that's when we will be paying the Fraternal Order of Police, which I believe is the organization which takes the money for the police. We are not asking, and this is very, very important, we are not asking the city of Homestead for any monies towards this event, recognizing that Homestead, as is the case globally, nationally, and locally, is faced with a fiscal crisis, which undoubtedly calls for austere measures. But I learned in that meeting with Councilman Williams on last Thursday and the others that there is a $5,000 bond, which is required by the city for events like the MLK Parade. And that's why we're here tonight, asking you to, at this time, rescind the requirement of that bond, as was done in the case of the 2009 Veterans Day Parade. And with that, I'd be more than happy to answer any and all of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any further questions from council? Any questions from the audience? Mr. Brown, great job. Thank you.
Oh, and you're all invited
to ride in the parade.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Wood.
There you go. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Carries. Flip that switch off for me again. Okay. Staff reports. Next item, item 6. Yes, the next item is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a consent agreement between the City of Homestead and the South Florida Water Management District concerning the city's water use permit, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date. Motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second it.
Brief staff report. This is
Mr.
the
Mayor,
Fuentes
the
group.
director has addressed this issue before. We have, this is concerning the water use permit that we have, and this consent agreement will set, our ability to use more water out of the aquifer and set the permits to do so. We need to do this in order to...
No, I understand the issue.
So I don't know if you have anything else to add. We had already been talking about it.
No, this is a phone conference that I had with South Florida Water Management. 7 people on the phone at one time, and I think, Richard, you've looked this issue over, right? You're happy, you're clear with it?
Yeah.
There were 5 conditions that they granted 3 out of 5 for us in our favor.
Yes, sir.
Any questions from council?
No, I move it.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just real quick.
Yes.
Just for clarification, I did notice, because I raised the issue at the committee of the whole meeting before, about the once per week versus twice per week. After rereading it, it looks like they did accommodate us for the twice per week, which I'm very appreciative of. Thank you very much.
Yes, they did.
In accordance with the Miami-Dade County Code. So I just wanted to put that on the record and thank you for working with us on that issue.
Sure. Please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Manager, Mr. Attorney, Ed Hernandez, Service Center Director for the South Florida Water Management District. We had a very good discussion a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Mayor, and taking into consideration the situation that the city is currently facing, and having you as a new mayor and new members of the council, and some of the restrictions and requirements that we had, we looked back at your requests and felt that we could accommodate you in certain respects, and unfortunately in certain others we could not. But I think the agreement that you have before you is one that is a good agreement. It's good for the city, it's good for the district, and it most importantly protects the water resource for not just today but future generations. And we appreciate your support.
Thank you, sir. Any comments from the audience? Any further comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. Business from the city manager.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council, just a couple of things. Per your direction, you asked me to look into the medical center issue that we had downtown. I met with the representatives. There was correspondence. They sent me a letter which I asked for, outlining the outcome of that meeting. I was very explicit as to making sure that they understood that they were approved as a special exception for a defined square footage. And part of that approval, obviously, there were conditions, obviously tied to the limitations of parking that they had. They were asked to come up with a cross parking access agreement, which they did. I made it clear to them that any expansion, even if it's 1 square inch outside of what they have previously been approved as a special exception, that needed to come back to you as City Council. I further explained that the intent of the Arts and Entertainment District, the purpose of that district was to bring in arts, specialty retail type of uses, antique shops, and the like, was not intended for a school. We already have a school. I even, Miami-Dade College, I even went to the degree of recommending that they would talk to them and try to come up with some sort of arrangement so that they can maybe lease space from them, from the existing school premises. So I made it clear that they could not expand that use unless they came to you, and in the event that they wish to go that way, that you will be seriously looking at, the fact that the storefront usage needed to be in line with the character that you wanted to preserve in the general area. So I sent a letter, I think it was this morning. You were copied on that letter, and just ratifying this information at this point and alerting you to the fact, that I sent it out and that I took action. We'll take it from there. I'll keep you posted as to what the reaction is. And they have made some purchases. They thought that they could expand without the need to come to you, I presume. They're not a use by right. They were permitted only, as I said, as a special exception. So I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but I was clear, and they understood where they were when they left the meetings.
Was there like a message that was sent to them by someone here at City Hall? I mean,
sir,
what pushed them to go that fast and that far?
My impression is that they were under the perception that it was a use permitted, and that they were encouraged to expand at one point or another. Which is it's peculiar, because most uses were prevented from any expansion, or even uses by right that came and applied to the city were not permitted to come in and apply for something as simple as a building permit for an addition or whatever. So I don't know the answer to that question exactly,
because I not only feel for them, but I feel for the users right now, the people who are renting those buildings now. I understand some of them actually have been asked to move.
Their position, the position of the college, is that they have, some of these tenants have not been paying, and they were forced to, they gave them an eviction notice. They also said, in all fairness, that they're holding some eviction notices back in light of the fact that we're, in the holiday season, and they don't want to, affect anybody's ability to continue to do business, especially during these times. But after after the first of the year, they had the intention to move on. But that is contrary to what they can do.
Right.
So, having said that, I sent a message both verbally and in writing, and we'll take it from there. I keep you posted and see where that leads us. But that's the latest on that. There were a number, and I believe all of the lighting fixtures along the Chrome Avenue. In fact, there was so much glare that you had to wear glasses at night.
Oh, I went down it, and it's definitely glare. But there is still one light out. There's one.
There's a cover head fixture that still thing. But believe me, and we're also working on the
maintenance program.
On the parking lot, we're adding the additional lighting, the parking, on the city's parking lot on Flagler.
Yeah. We chuckle about it, but it's important. It's very important for our taxpayers, I believe.
We had our SPOT team or special team, what do you call it? QRT. What does that stand for?
Quick response team.
Quick response team.
I like that, actually.
Tackling issues. As of tomorrow, we met procurement and Public Works, and I met with landscapers. As of tomorrow, you will see additional planting material, which are mostly drought tolerant, because there are some mediums in areas that don't have irrigation. But you will be seeing, you know, improvements, better grooming of our public right-of-way landscape, and in light of the holidays, it would add a very nice touch. They stepped up to the plate. They will, the contractors that we have in place now stepped up and at no additional cost.
There you go.
So that's something that we're very appreciative of. But the proof is in the pudding. We'll see after tomorrow what they can do
for us. Yeah.
And then, there is a reduction. This is a good news in the power cost adjustment of 6.6%, going down $3.45, which will be noted on the January bill. So that is a very good piece of news that the Director, Barbara Quiñones, brought up to my attention towards the last part of last week. So with that, I'm working on many things. These are just highlights. I'll keep you posted. My intention is to continue giving you those weekly reports like the one that you just got on Friday. Next Friday, so you'll see the next one.
And this quick response team is employees we currently have?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions for the manager?
Just one. You said landscaping, that will be throughout entire city of Homestead and the southwest
The entire
area?
city of Homestead. I did a virtual, for lack of a better word, tour with Robert Landon and Randy Sean. I pointed out the areas that needed special attention. Yes, Councilman, your area was very much highlighted.
Thank you.
And
I
you
just
can
wanted to
expect, and you can expect big changes there. We'll make sure that we follow through. And again, you know, they graciously stepped up to the plate. We'll see what they can put out, and we'll take it from there. But it showed very, a good disposition on their part. They want to do business here, and that was our position when we met with them. If you want the business, you got to step up. So, and they will. We'll make sure that that's the case.
Have we had a chance to address those overgrown lots in the southwest section that
we have? In fact, we did take care of them. The second part comes with the continuous maintenance of that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and if I may, Mayor.
Yes.
Sergio and I, the acting city manager and I, we rode around and we pointed out some significant things. And then when Captain Chung was the acting city manager, right on 10th Street, where the railroad tracks were, they had grown up very, very high, and all the way up to Luce Street where the shotgun house used to be, and they attacked that the same week, and the residents, I had knocking on my door, asking, so I give high accommodations to the work of the Park and Recs and the G team that helped in that. So thank you so very much.
You're welcome. And there is a long way to go. There are areas that really are a lot of special attention. And there is a tendency, of course, to cut the lot, but still you have grass coming up, the walls are up, the fence, that, the job was done, but I'm not 100% that satisfied it was done to the detail that I would like to see it, but I pledge to you that we'll be following through to make sure that it's done right completely.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you.
Councilman Maldonado.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing is, since this is our last council meeting for the year, I just wanted to put it out there so that everyone would know that on January 14th, we're going to resume the Education Committee that was formed in the previous council, and so we'll be having that meeting January 14th, and let you know that I've already went out through the community this weekend and went to Homestead Middle, and I met with the PTA coordinator there. That was recommended by Mr. Trantham, to start reaching out to a lot of the educators that are in the community and let them know that I am now the chair of the education committee, and that just wanted to extend myself to them in any form or that they would need me. So again, right now I just want to make sure that everyone knows for January 14th we're going to have that meeting. That's all I have right now. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Maldonado. Councilman Shelley.
Nothing really at this time, just again, it's the last meeting before the first of the year, so I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, happy coming up New Year. I look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Yvonne Knowles for a beautiful presentation of the Christmas in Losner Park, and I will tell you, we've had to really scurry around to get everything together and get it done, but I think it's going to be lovely. I think it's going to be great, and we're going to finalize all the little details tomorrow probably, and poor Robert, I've got him in meetings most of the week. So I was very honored. I'm lighting the menorah in the Cutler Bay, in Cutler Bay, Monday, December 14th at 5 o'clock. And Mr. City Manager, through Mayor, if it's okay.
Yes.
I have a letter here from the rabbi and from Homestead, and he would like very much for you to put this on the city website, because there's not going to be a menorah lighting here in the Homestead area, so that the people will know that they can come and attend on I think it's the 14th, it's next Monday night. So I'll give you this letter before we leave, and we can maybe address that. Thank you. And we still have high hopes that we're going to open the senior center before the end of the year, right, Robert? If not open it, at least have a walkthrough and a little celebration, correct?
Definitely will have a soft opening.
Yes. Julio. Okay. I know we promised that, so we're going to do that. And probably we'll just have a little, some tours, just like they did at the hospital when they opened the hospital, some tours, and then the center will probably open a week or 10 days after that, correct? Right. Okay, but I just wanted to put that on the record. And again, I'm meeting this week with Julio and City Manager and Robert regarding several of the park issues, so we're going to iron out all those things, and I'll have a report to you, Mayor, at the next meeting. It was my honor to participate in the annual Farm Workers Week celebration. It was just wonderful, and they had a fashion show for all the graduates who graduated from the Southeast Skills Center this term, and they used the clothes from Judy's Closet as the fashions, and I'm happy to say that each student will be receiving 4 outfits for work. So, and there were there were several people that were there.
Beautiful turnout, yeah.
There were probably 20 students modeling, so each one of them will receive 4 outfits. NASCAR was terrific. I want to say compliments to Curtis and his team. I thought, and Major Kennedy, the traffic pattern just flowed beautifully. I didn't get one phone call, so that's a good thing, right? That's a very good thing. And just for the record, I was in a local restaurant, and I overheard somebody ask a question at the next table, and he wanted to know what time a certain show came on in this time slot here in the eastern United States. And I waited for somebody to answer, and nobody answered, so I turned around and I answered him. And they come every year, they're buddies, they're ex-military, and they come every single year from Oregon and from California. And I just think that's so neat that, we actually bring these people here, and I said to them, how many years you've been coming? And they said, since it started here. So I think that's wonderful. And tourism, when I'm working on putting my committees together, so we're going to make sure that we have a representative from the racetrack on the tourism committee and work on marketing that way as well. The little angel tree reception, it was wonderful. We lost count after 400 people. It was standing room only, sitting room only. It was just magnificent. So I want to thank everybody in the community who came out and supported us. Broadway Subs, they had a great grand opening of their second store, and the food was delicious. And I want to say a real special thank you to Sabrina and Martin King. They own Town Square Cleaners, and they own another one off of 288, but I can't remember the name. Premier. But they volunteered to do all the dry cleaning for the clothes for the skills center, and send them out with fresh, crisp, clean, wonderful smelling clothes. So thank you, Sabrina, very, very much. And with that being said, I just want to wish happy holidays to everyone, and best wishes for a very healthy new year. See you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilman Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me just highlight the Martin Luther King breakfast on January 15, 2010 at 8 o'clock a.m. at the FICO Williams Community Center, and we want to give high accommodation to the Palace Gardens, who will be facilitating the food, and to thank them for this effort, because in previous past it has cost the city almost $5,000 to $6,000 to do that. So we want to thank Vice Mayor Waldman for certainly her directive involvement in facilitating that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The other thing is that I've had meetings with the finance director and the external auditors, me being chair of the finance and enterprise. And what we're going to do in starting January first quarter, or I guess it would be the end of the quarter, we're going to start posting to protect your dollars, Mr. Sullivan, the city expenditures and receipts, so that you're able, as public persons, able to go to our website and be able to see where the city is financially. And I think that is a very good start, and I hope that helps with the open transparency of government, that we make sure that we protect the integrity of that. And so you're able to do that starting in I think the end of January, correct me if I'm wrong, okay, the end of January after the first quarter. And so that will be great for all the residents who want to know what's going on financially with this city. Will be like a recap or a caption of the quarter. And thank you so very much for that. Also, we did the street naming for Ernestine Seymour last week, and the office staff, the clerk's office, really put it together in almost a day, and so I want to give them high accommodations for their effort and work in trying to get that out and done. It was very well, great attended, and the family was very pleased, and the mayor allowed me to present the proclamation to the family. Thank you so very much for that, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Also, in my work, I'm chair of the business incubator. I've met with Hilda, who's executive director for the business incubator, and it is an incredible facility. You've got to go. If you've not visited there in a while, it has had some major improvement, and the quality of what they're doing over there, words cannot express. I invite each council member at some point in time to go by and visit the business incubator. It is a plethora of almost a smoke of businesses, and it's just overwhelmed me that we have that here in Homestead. And you're talking about, you have doctors from University of Miami who are doing different kind of products, and and different things in that, and development of bringing high-paying jobs. One, for example, is an individual there who has developed a battery that will be for years to come with the military, and Lockheed Martin's already tested it, and they're looking to bring manufacturing, Mr. Shelley, here to do that. And so I gave them your name for new business development and industrial and high-paying jobs. I knew that was one of your campaign things that you wanted to do. And one of my campaign platform was to expand the small business. And so the business incubator is really a phenomenal entity, and it is a hidden secret, so we don't want it to be a secret anymore. We want everybody to know. And so I think at some point in time that each council member and city manager, please go over there and stick your face in, and you'll be blown away by the impact of the building. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. As most people here in the city know, the food drive for the soup kitchen has started again. The City of Homestead's Mayor Youth Council has organized its second annual holiday food drive to benefit the Homestead Soup Kitchen. The Homestead Soup Kitchen is a nonprofit organization that is serving approximately 700 meals a week to its members of our community that are in need of a hot meal regardless of their circumstances. It was my thought last year that the soup kitchen, everybody remembers toys and stuff at Christmas time, but there were still families and children that needed food, so we thought as the Mayor's Youth Council it would be appropriate to start that. So I'm hoping that everybody will come out and support us again this year. We had a good year last year that really helped them get through some hard times down there, and we need everybody's support again this year. They're looking for dried goods, the big cans of vegetables or fruits or anything you can give is appreciated. If you'll so allow me, I'll mention the drop-off places here in town that have been supportive of us. We've got Anne Marie's, Broadway Subs, City Hall right here has a box. The police department put one out for us, thank you. Historic Town Hall Museum, thank you. The Chamber of Commerce has one over there. Curves, ER Techs, Ferguson Jewelers, Spellbound Books, and the YMCA. So thank you to all of those people, and we're going to get one to the Northgate residents over there. Hopefully the box is still unlocked tonight, so I can get one to Mr. Sullivan. So thank you. I attended the League of Cities the other evening up at the Landshark Stadium nowadays. It was a great event, and they were saying goodbye to, I guess it would be past president now, Mayor Gibson. So thanks for that appointment. It was a good time, and a lot of people to meet up there, and a lot of good things should come of that. Several weeks ago, I went down to Laura Saunders. The NFL is they do an initiative around towns of all different things, and they're doing kind of a Going Green initiative this year, where they're going around, I believe it's 20 stops they're making and planting trees at 20 different areas that needed it. Laura Saunders was their kickoff project, and I believe it was 12 trees we planted down there on the grounds of the school, and the kids had a great time planting them, and the NFL was doing another great thing for us. And they do that every year wherever they go. They pick out different projects that are needed to be done. So if the clerk could get the proper paperwork to me, Portofino Pizza is getting ready to open over there. We're behind Chili's, and they wanted to be able to give to the Policeman of the Month Fund. So I don't know what they need to do to do that, whether they just come in and do it or what, but if you could just let me know. And then one other thing that got lost in the management shuffle that we've had this year, as I had talked about last year, with the Christmas tree being up, I think it might be prudent that we extend the ability to schools to come out and do like the 12 nights of Christmas or something to all the local school choirs, where they could come out and either use the tree as their backdrop and put on a performance. So it got lost this year with the election and the management shuffle, but I think that's something that we should probably carry forward next year. And I'd like to try to work on something like that. I think it'd be a great time for the kids to come out, especially since we're doing the one great tree at Losner Park, the band shell's right there and all. So if management and I guess Robert with Parks and Rec, if we could, just kind of keep that in the back of our mind, and when it becomes next June or something, make sure we can act on that. I think it'd be great for all the students and downtown too. So just an idea I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. And it's quite late, so I'm going to be brief, but I want to start by thanking staff. The last 30 days have been interesting. They've been fun. I think we've accomplished a lot. I want to thank each and every one of you for what you've done. You've reached out and you've gone above and beyond, and I appreciate that. I'd like to thank council, who's been exceptional, putting the time that you've put in to do the job that the taxpayers expect us to do here. And I want to thank each and every one of you. I'd like each and every one of you to have a wonderful holiday. I know that we've got a great Christmas tree lighting coming up on the 10th. I look forward to seeing you all there. And God bless you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to close the meeting. Motion to close?
Move.
Second? All in favor? Let's go. Thank you.
Sergio. I like that. Kidding me?
Oh, but he's working for free as a sitting, yes. I do my part. Yes. Oh, please, don't worry about that. I'm just so happy it's done. Next year. Were you? I mean? No, but I'll call you tomorrow. Here, you call me. I have my council cards. Yeah, just call me on that, and then I'll. Because I know that we're still looking for your daughter, right? Your daughter's still looking for a house. Right?
I don't know.
She just emailed me this afternoon, right before the meeting. I got so much dry cleaning. But the thing about it is she wants to find a place that won't charge her any money unless she's making money. And I don't know of any place that'll do that. Not what her email says. That she wanted somebody, you probably know what I'm talking about. She wants somebody to rent to her who won't charge her rent unless she's making money. No. I'll share the email with y'all. She's wonderful. I don't want her to go. Come down there around.
Well, I want to, now it's not in place. Get it up with the mayor gave me the okay for it, so. So for the most part, I want to make, that other, who's it going to be composed of, I'm not sure, but our goal is basically Right. Multitasking. So far, you guys are good. I know. I mean, for the most part, you guys, exchange and your Blackberries, and that's set up already. Policy, let's see, policy.
Actually, I just got a text
You
message.
should be okay.
Got dinner ready to hurry home.
I think if anything, it'll just be maybe any other.
Settle this thing with us.
Starting off somewhere. Starting off somewhere. Companies, like assist. Try to get them a part of it so that make it, bigger. I mean, you know how that gets. Yeah.
I'll just get, did he leave?
No, it is working because I already talked.
Have to get it on,
Up around, right? I have limited, well, the healthcare resolution